Hello, and welcome to the Skol v Grit Show, where we cover all things Vikings and Lions. I am your co-host, Hans, and joined, as always, by the lovely Mr. Joe Ryan. But wait, there's more. Today we are also joined by a very special guest. He's one of Chicago's bravest, a man who only eats cheese from another's head, an absolute monster of a TG, Mr. Jake Kolin. How you doing, fellas?
Happy to be here.
Welcome, Jake.
Thank you.
Yeah, we've exhausted the amount that we could talk about our two franchises in this dead season. There's nothing left to say about the Vikings or Lions. It just isn't. We said it all. So we needed to touch on some of the rest of the NFC North. And Jake, you are a Chicago man, born and bred.
Born and raised.
You are a Packer fan. Why?
It's a hard life, and someone's got to wear it. The Bears were in some real dark days. I think there's a whole generation of lost Bears fans that live amongst me in the shadows here. I've met plenty. I get along with them, but goes back to like the early '90s. I was a kid. I was just getting into the game of football, watching with my dad, and I was briefly talking with this about Joe just a minute ago. Sat down on Sundays with my dad. He's like, hey, this is Brett Favre. This is our guy. He's taking this league over, blah, blah, blah. And I just grasped onto that. I'm like, all right, this is my guy. He's fun to watch. He's having fun. Looks like a kid. As the years go on, I stick with the Packers. They're my team. I'm going through, the Favre era, the Aaron Rodgers era, now the Jordan Love era. My dad kind of fell off. I'm like, Dad, like this, I thought this was our team. I thought these were guys, And I'm pretty sure at that point in time, I just caught him on a gambling heater. Few good bets on Brett, and I'm bought in. My kids are bought in. My dad, he's just a casual fan in all sports. He's a sports fan, but not like a fanatic. But that's kind of like the birth of it all. And you look back on it now, and it's maybe different than what I thought it was originally, but here we are.
That's fantastic. I've known you, like 20 years, and I actually never asked.
Yeah, this was more of a coming of age moment recently, as a adult, but yeah, I thought he was all in, but he's kind of, like halfway.
That makes it so much better that he really did. You just latched onto this thing and made it a whole big part of your life. And he was just like, I didn't really care. I just needed him to cover that week.
At some point, you just reflect, be honest with what you think you were watching as a kid,
Yeah, your formative years, like that's, Joe sticks with the narrative where he's grew up in Michigan and he's a Lions fan because, that's what you do. I grew up in Iowa, so I had nothing.
Yeah. You're the free.
Yeah. My grandma was the one who would watch the Vikings. Like my dad barely cared. My grandfather didn't watch sports, but she was the type of sports fan that would go to a baseball game and keep score. Like she was the real deal.
Wrong with that?
Yeah, I don't even know how to do that. But yeah, so that's your background with the Packers. So how about? The reason you're here is to talk about what they've done this offseason with free agency, with the draft, and then actually before we get into that, I'd like to ask your thoughts on Jordan Love because I've made mine very, very clear.
Yeah. I'll have to listen back, but we always keep the receipts. We can check the receipts on what you think on them.
Oh yeah, there's plenty.
Jordan's a dude, man. He can play quarterback. The biggest thing he's got to work against is really just like the history of the Packers. You're trying to live, up to the standards of Bart Starr and Brett Favre and Aaron Rodgers, and it's like that's a.
You think he actually knows who Bart Starr is?
Him? Absolutely. No, he might not know Brett
There's just no way, right?
No,
like Justin Jefferson doesn't know who Fran Tarkington is. There's no way. There's just no way.
But you can feel that aura, when you walk into Lambeau Field. You know the history of the franchise and the history of the position there. So, but year one as a starter, he walks into Dallas, wins a playoff game on the road, gets him back to the playoffs again last year. He's capable, and as we get through the roster, you can make arguments that he probably hasn't had the proper help, but he's not a guy that's going to do it on his own. But you give him the right tools, and I think he's more than capable.
Yeah, I probably shit on him more than he deserves, but I also stand by everything I said.
Yeah, have to.
I just don't see it. You have a coach. I think
Mhm.
Matt LaFleur is like a legit top 5 coach in the
Yeah.
league. Maybe more than that. Maybe top 3. Like it pains me to admit that, but it's just true. Like look what he did when Love was out.
Yeah.
They won multiple games with a guy who couldn't throw the ball.
What's
It's
my man's name
It's
from
fucking
Liberty?
insane.
What's that backup's name?
Malik Willis.
Yeah,
Yeah.
he had him looking like a Pro Bowler. So
They
Yeah,
had-
and he couldn't throw the ball, and everyone knew it, and they still won games. It was,
Yeah, and that's
it
game
was
plan.
wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
So okay, Jordan Love feels like a lot like Brett Favre in the sense that he'll just chuck it. You know, like what's your trust level with him? Because I don't feel a lot of trust. Like when it's going well and he's cooking, things are good, but like he takes so many risks.
Yeah, from play to play, I mean, you don't know. Keeps it exciting. The one thing that he does as well as anybody, and he hasn't really had the chance to do, is stretch the field with the deep ball. And the Packers just haven't had that guy. I'm sure we'll get to that point as we go through the roster.
Yeah,
But
they may have added someone that could do that.
there
It's
could
possible.
improve.
It's possible.
You know, you open up the short and intermediaries with a guy who can pop the top. You might see a different Jordan Love. I'm not saying it's going to happen, but I'm saying the possibility is there because it's never been there.
Well, I know last year in like training camp, they said they didn't have a number 1, they had 4 number 1s.
Well,
Did they?
I think they said 2. As playing at the level, but yeah, they
I'm
thought.
gonna knock myself out, rolling my eyes. Oh my god!
I think they were like, no, we have 4 number 4s. We're good.
Yeah, kind of what it turned into in some
That's
ways.
a 12, baby.
Yeah.
Wait, 16. Shit.
Yeah, a lot of guys who could drop the ball, but
Yeah, there's a little bit of that.
I'm right in between you guys on Jordan Love because I know Hans kind of hates him. You said capable. He's not consistent enough for me. I think like no matter what, because of the chances he takes, I feel like the other teams always got a chance. But when he's on, he's on. Some guys never get to that level. When they're on, they're still kind of ho-hum. So yeah, I'll be curious to see what he does with the deep threat this year.
It's not that I hate him. It's that I put myself in like what I want him as my quarterback and not being like to trust that like he might go out and throw for 600 yards and 5 touchdowns, and then next week he might throw for 150 and 4 interceptions.
Mhm.
Like,
Would you say he's Jameis Winston North?
oh,
that's
oh.
an indictment.
Yeah, that's mean. That's meaner than anything I've ever said. I love it.
I'm just asking questions.
Yeah. I'll tell you who I compared him to. I compared him to like the peak version of Tua, where it's like if you put enough around, he's going to complete passes. He'll look good. He'll make his mistakes here and there. Tua isn't playing for the same kind of organization. When you look at the Dolphins, they're just, I don't know what they're doing. I don't think anybody ever knows what they're doing. But
their coach, I'm gonna do something that you'll never be able to forget. But in The Sopranos, the kid that Meadow dates, like her first boyfriend.
Is that
in
from
college?
Rutgers or Purdue or
The kid in college, like he's with the glasses.
lineage that Tony hates? I know exactly what you mean. It looks
Yeah,
exactly like
yeah,
that.
I'm not going to say what he calls him because it's inappropriate, but that's the Dolphins coach. Just look at him. It's him.
Yeah, no, and I like we've already talked on Matt LaFleur. I think he can do it. I think he can take the best parts of Jordan Love and make him work, and he can take the worst parts of Jordan Love and try to talk him out of those bad decisions. We'll see. He's done a decent job so far. I think he has to grow, but I think the potential's there.
There's also the idea that because Jordan Love wasn't a rookie, but like you paid him immediately, so you give away. There's the rookie cheat code of quarterbacks,
right.
where they're never making more than $5 million a year for the first 5, and the Packers are just like, fuck it,
Yeah,
let's just back the truck up and pour off like Scrooge McDuck type money in his face, and we'll figure it out.
Yeah, sat while he was cheap and learned, and now he's first year as a starter. They basically got to pay him 40-50 million. So
yeah.
How far is he off from Jared Goff then, though? Because he struggled early on. He had to find the right situation to get that completion percentage up. Weapons all around him. All of a sudden, he looks great. It's not the same guy we saw, in LA for the most
I mean,
part.
he did make a Super Bowl in LA, but
Okay, he did.
I know that was in the Rams F them picks era.
Yeah, so I mean, we can go from there.
Even as a guy that appreciates defense, that Super Bowl was painful. What was it, 10-6 final?
Oh, that was like the most boring Super Bowl. I was went to some like political party for it. It was fucking miserable for every quadrant.
For lots on you.
Yeah, but there's free food and drinks, so
The Super Bowl needs more politics.
All right, so we talked about that. Let's get in some off-season moves for the Packers. They didn't do a ton. They did more than I remember. Like their big splash was signing the 49ers guard Aaron Banks. People have shit on this. Like I don't think Aaron Banks is that good. They've shit on it because of the amount of money, but like NFL contracts are not real. Like not what you see, right? Like what the agent tells Adam Schefter to tweet out, that's not really how much they're making a year. Like they can get out of the Aaron Banks contract in 1 year.
Well, that's all bullshit anyway. But another thing to remember is the guard market is crazy. These guys are getting paid like never before. So
yeah,
I mean,
like
you want one.
He's not. He's fine, but he's not like he signed a what did he sign? Here it's he signed a $77 million 4-year deal, but all his guaranteed money is in year 1. So it's a 1-year deal.
Mm-hmm.
If he's not like, so.
Yeah, and I'll be the first to admit, like, I don't understand like the dead cap money, the cap hits, all that stuff. But what everybody knows is, you sign that deal, you can cut a guy, and you're gonna have to eat some of it at some point.
It's like, oh, we're gonna be paying him like a top 10 guard in the league for 4 years.
Maybe not.
Not really. You are for 1 year. Yeah, you're paying them like $30 million this year, but then you're done. Like that's it. You can get out of that. If it doesn't work, it doesn't work.
It's such a far cry from the real world where we'll give him all up front, and then if it doesn't work out, we'll just cut ties. Like no other business in the world works like this. But
the cap is insane. Like there's the people who say the cap isn't real, and it's like, yeah, it kind of isn't until it is. Like you can kick the can down the road forever. Like
that
keep restructuring and signing bonuses, and now they let you do void years and shit. Like you can get like a Mets thing where you're paying the guy $1 million a year for the rest of his fucking life because he's just basically got an annuity. Yeah,
we still celebrate Bobby Bonilla Day. I think every July 1st. It is, right?
Like good on him.
We laugh every year.
Yeah.
Like, he didn't sign a contract; he bought an annuity. Like, he just whatever. But
along those cap lines, when the Rams actually won the Super Bowl with Stafford, whoever ran and managed their cap, I think it's like some Enron level fuckery. It was incredible because they were signing. You remember all these guys, like real Pro Bowl guys, on like 1 and 2 year deals, and there's more millions upon millions of dollars. And I was like, at a certain point, like, anyone gonna look into that? Like, how can you do that?
Yeah, it's you kick the can down the road. Like you give them all this money, you put a lot of the signing bonus up front, so you have like players like that because they get money in hand. And then it's prorated, like you get $10 million signing bonus that's prorated over the life of your contract, and that's not necessarily even the actual life of the contract because they can build void years in to take it even lower, to mitigate that even more. Like it's fucking nuts. Like if you have a good cap person, Minnesota does. Rob Jasinski is a fucking wizard. Like he's so good at that shit. But if you have someone that understands that, and then once you hit your window of like, then you can, you go out and get, like you said, all these like Pro Bowl players, like it seems like they're getting a lot, but are they?
Yeah. Well, when you explain it like that, it's just like my relationship with Visa. I get it. We'll deal with that later.
Yeah, it's like swapping credit card debt. Like, oh, I can move my card from this Visa over to this MasterCard for no interest for 12 months. Okay.
Balance transfer.
It's essentially that, yeah.
Yeah.
So who else? Aaron Banks. How do you feel about Aaron Banks? Like, let's start there.
I mean, I've seen him like graded out different ways. I mean, I know there's a connection to Pro Football Focus here, and he's been graded out certain ways. I forget if it was like he's not graded well as like a pass blocker maybe, but like he's an absolute mauler in the run game, and people seem to have differing opinions of him. Listen, like what we talked about already with Jordan Love, if he's a mauler in the run game and opens up even more holes for Josh Jacobs, like sign me up, right? Because pass blocking is kind of like as a unit. But, run blocking, if you got that one guy that can blast a hole open and, you got your running back going 4 yards, 5 yards before he even gets touched, sign me up, because that's the way to bring the most out of Jordan Love. Just beat him up front, hit a couple short routes here and there, and then blow the top off the defense. So if that starts with the run game with Aaron Banks, sign me up. I'm fine with it. It's not my money. I don't care how they spend it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, that's the one thing. It's like, yeah, let these billionaires spend all their fucking money. I don't care.
Entertain me on Sundays. I really don't care what the cap looks.
And Josh Jacobs, like I'm eternally frustrated by him just from fantasy. Like the first few years, he was nothing, and I kept believing and believing. The second I stopped believing, that's when he went nuts and became just a god.
Yeah,
Very frustrating.
We've that fan can't divorce.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know. Like, how do you feel about your line in general? Like, was this like the missing piece? Was this?
No, but is it like there's never really a missing piece for the Packers offensive line. They're such a solid franchise, and like you can look across what the Bears are doing right now, where their offensive line is god awful, and they're blaming the failure of quarterbacks on O-lines, and now they're chasing veterans. They're chasing guys like Tooney out of.
Their line wasn't as bad as it gets.
Was. You're
like, because there's so many factors between, like, for like, you see Caleb took all these sacks.
Yeah.
A lot of those were his fucking fault.
100%. But yeah, in terms of the Packers, like they're always building a line that has depth, right? They're never like devoid of any talent up there. So I think this is just another move. They had money to spend. Where are we going to spend it? I think the first answer in Green Bay is always going to be the line. And I think that's just what they did, because they went right out in the second round and took a big lineman out of NC State. So they're never going to get caught without that. And I think that's just, kind of what that move spoke to.
Yeah, that makes sense.
That's a great segue, Jake, into the draft. What did you think of the draft this year?
It's good. It's good. There's a huge...
Wow, nailed it.
Yeah.
No notes.
Huge cheer from Green Bay all the way down to where I'm at, when they took the wide receiver, Matthew Golden is going to be exciting. People wanted it. Is it the move I wanted? I don't know. Was it the move I was excited to see? Absolutely. I was just thrown for a loop because I'm trying to guess what the Packers are going to do, and you're never going to guess Matthew Golden. I'm guessing Johnson, the quarterback out of Michigan. I'm thinking, he's still on the board. There are a couple other like defenders on the board. The pass rusher out of Marshall, Mike Green. Shout out to Mike, our buddy Mike Green.
Oh, terrible.
Yeah. I had my eye on him, but no, they passed and they hit the wide receiver button, and I think that was what the home crowd at the draft in Green Bay wanted to see, and I think they hit a home run. I love it.
A lot of people are really high on Golden. I am not one of them.
Well,
I feel like and it's not because you guys took him. I think he's kind of like I think of him almost as like the Jordan Love of receivers. There's just so much variance in what he can be.
Mm-hmm.
Well, I personally
he could be the next Jamar Chase or something, but
he lit up my Michigan Wolverine.
He could also be the next Laquan Treadwell.
Yeah. Like that's the beauty of the draft. Everybody can break it down. You don't know until they get on the field. But I think just specifically the pairing of Jordan Love needing a deep ball, him being just a absolute, pop topper, and Jordan throwing the deep ball well, they're going to hit. I mean, whether it's consistently, who knows, but they're going to hit.
He does throw a great deep ball. I can't deny that.
And just think of what this does for a guy like Jaden Reed, where like they were asking him to run the deep routes, and that wasn't his thing. Right. You're going to have all Jaden Reed crossing routes underneath, and then you're going to have, everybody else falling in line. I think it's just for what it does for their 1 and 2, being Matthew Golden and Jaden Reed, I think it was the right move, good move, hopefully.
That's a good and terrifying point. I don't like that.
Don't like that. Nope.
If one of us hates it, it's probably good for you.
Yeah, well, think about it. And then what are you going to do when they hand the ball to Josh Jacobs and you got safeties bailing, you got linebackers worried about crossing routes, and you got Aaron Banks, blowing up the interior line. I mean, it just all works together. So, I mean, there's always a plan in Green Bay. There's some teams you look at, the Dolphins we talked about, other teams, there just doesn't seem to be a plan. It's just, you look at it as a whole and it seems to work together.
So I've always wondered this, who's actually in charge in Green Bay? Because you have such a weird, system. Are you an owner? Are you an owner?
I'm in charge. They call me daily. This is why I got so much good information.
Because you're working under a structure that is just different than all other 31 teams.
Yeah.
Because Green Bay is a small, there's no reason Green Bay should have an NFL team. It's fucking crazy.
That says the guy sitting in Iowa right now, right?
Well, yeah, we don't have one. That'd be like my hometown having an NFL team. It's fucking crazy. Yeah. It would never happen. It's just this holdover from this other era that somehow kept going. But you don't have a billionaire.
No, it's
public. So I don't even know who's in charge.
There's a board, So here, I'll give you a little insight as an owner. My brother bought me a ownership share. Yeah, he's a great guy. He's Bears fan, but bought me an ownership share of Packers. So I get this thing. I'm like, oh, it's cool. I got it in a frame. It's it might be on my son's wall right now or in the basement. I don't know. But they send you stuff every year, and they're like, hey, there's an ownership meeting this day, and would you like to mail in a vote on board?
Yeah, I was gonna ask if you got a vote when you own stock.
You can, yeah, and there's a box you can check that says I go with whatever the team recommends, whatever the franchise recommends, and if you don't send in your ballot, they defer right to whatever the team recommends. They just take your vote and apply.
I mean, surely they have only issued enough stock to cover 49% of ownership, so that there can never be any actual.
I don't think so. I think there.
I mean, that's what I would do.
Yeah. It's all.
So then the votes don't matter because you get 51. It's fine.
No, the votes matter, and I'm you get tickets every year to a board meeting that's held at Lambeau Field, and I can go sit in the stadium and they'll zoom you in on the scoreboard, and you can just watch the board meeting and you drink beers and do it. I mean, it's just a different environment. I've never done it, but
you should. I want to do that. Can I have your tickets?
Yeah, you're invited to board.
That's so cool.
A board meeting.
And Hans, when you post this podcast, make sure it stresses our interview with Green Bay owner.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, that has to happen.
You won't have
hello street cred.
But hey, if you ever want to go, I mean, I'll set you. If you want.
I've never actually been to Lambeau. Because it feels like it'd be really complicated to get there.
Nah,
you would have to take a car.
Yeah, that's so hard. Yeah. No, I actually would go. I mean, you and I went to the White Sox game.
It's
that was traumatic for me.
Yeah, because the South Side Chicago and
you were real mean to me.
Yeah, we had you under protection. We moved you to the group. We didn't leave you out on the ends.
You had a bubble.
Unpleasant.
Secret Service protection.
It was real unpleasant. I needed it.
We needed to bring him in close.
People old ladies were putting hands on me.
It was
fucking wild.
We're Tigers people. My wife got spit on at a White Sox game in their stadium. It's not Kaminsky anymore, whatever the new one is.
Mm-hmm.
That was pre me, of course, because that wouldn't go down in my watch.
Don't feel bad because I've probably been spit on at that stadium, and I'm a big fan. That's just how they treat people.
Yes. It was eye-opening.
Yeah.
In my defense, I didn't take the jersey off until we got to the car.
No,
you kept telling me, you're like, dude, just take it off, please.
That was a play in the 05 run. So, I mean, the fan base was rabid. They were starved for a championship, and you were at their game one of, everyone in the way. And,
Yep.
got everybody out of the way, which is,
Damn.
Story for different sport, different podcast.
Yep. Had to happen though. So let's see. We're going on draft picks. Anthony Pelton, did you need a tackle? Is that a guy who's gonna start for you?
Don't you always?
What is that?
Never a need pick, yeah, for them. That's never a need pick. It's just don't be caught without, I mean, that was predictable,
Fair enough. Moving on. Your third round pick. this is actually an interesting guy. Savion Williams. Do you
So-
know much about him?
No, and this pick threw me for a loop. I'm like, wow, like another wide receiver. Now I'm like thrown off watching the draft. I didn't know too much about him. I know he's had some explosive plays at TCU, right?
Yeah, he's an athletic freak. He's like Cordell Patterson.
Mm-hmm.
Like he's like in that mold. Like he's a big dude. He's fast. He's quick. Like I don't know. He doesn't have the most refined route running or this and that, but like if you have the right person using him properly, he can be a weapon. You manufacture 8 touches a game for this guy. Like you can put him in the backfield. You can run screens. You can run deep ball. You can do a lot with him.
Yeah. So yeah, that was one that threw me for a loop because as I'm reading up, getting ready for the draft and kind of like seeing where are they going to go this year. You keep hearing pass rush and back end defense, pass rush, back end defense, and then they come out and they go offense, 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 and you're like, okay, now like we zigged, when everybody else thought we'd zag, and it kind of threw me off, So
Well, I should have asked this before we got into it, but like, what do you see as your biggest? What do you see as your biggest holes on your roster before free agency and the draft?
Yeah, the biggest one before, I think, is still the biggest one now. And, this pains me to say, because we're both Iowa Hawkeyes, but Lucas Van Ness has been a huge bust. He's almost a nothing. And they need more. Kenny Clark's getting older. Rashawn Gary's okay. He's good. He's better than okay. He's good, but he needs help on the other side. And you got like Inigbare, who's kind of coming into his own. But I thought they, like go get Trey Hendrickson, do something like give this guy a big name. And I don't.
That's still possible. Like
it sounds like
that dude's wildly unhappy.
Yeah,
and he seems like really dug in too, like to the point where he might just say fuck it, not play.
Well, but like on a Green Bay level, they've kind of squashed it already, and it sounds like they're going to bring Jair back, which is kind of like one of the guys they talked about trading for him. So
yeah, what the fuck's going on with Jair? Like I know he's had some injuries, but like there's been a weird amount of nothing, like as far as information going on. It's just like, people think they're gonna trade him. He's available. But
yeah,
like, why?
Seems like it was a guy who kind of had like a come to Jesus moment because he came into the league and he was a soundbite. He talked himself up and he backed it up. I mean, he was great. And he started getting injured, and now
when he's on the field, he's fucking phenomenal.
Yeah,
like I just wonder. Like I don't know what's going on. I don't know if you have any insight in that, but as an owner,
like
if you have any insight of what's going on behind the scenes, but
I specialize in offense on that. Like he seemed to want out, and he was like kind of hinting at he wanted out. And like I said, he's always been open about sharing his point of view. And then all of a sudden it stopped, and then all of a sudden he might be coming back. So I don't know if it was a come to Jesus moment or
he's been real quiet. That's the thing. Like that's why I don't understand what's going on, because
why would you trade this
guy unless he was a complete cancer to your organization? Like, I just don't understand.
Maybe Bengals could learn something here. Maybe they just had good faith negotiations and said, hey, if you stay quiet, we'll give you this money to come back.
But yeah, it's a novel idea to just pay your players.
Yeah, the Bengals just lighting it on fire. We're going to pay the backup wide receiver more than the star pass rusher.
I don't get the Higgins. Higgins is fine.
Yeah,
but like, I don't get that.
Oh, I'm still holding out hope that DN ends up on the Lions because he's so pissed at the Bengals. Like, yeah, come on over, baby.
If they can afford him, that'd be a nightmare to deal with.
Yeah,
that's my thoughts.
Not to happen. I hope he just sits out.
Yeah.
Well, I hope a lot of things. Jesus.
Yeah.
Especially because I think we all have to play that division and play the Bengals. So.
Yeah.
Speaking of that, did you see the Lions' schedule is just brutal, and they were asking Dan Campbell about it, and he's just the perfect guy to ask. I wrote it down because I didn't want to fuck it up. He goes, "It's awesome, man. By the end of the year, we should be scarred up and ready to go, hardened for battle and ready for the playoffs." They were trying to catch him in a woe is me moment, and he just absolutely flipped on him. He's like, "Fuck yeah, it's the hardest schedule around. We're gonna be so tough."
What a fucking lunatic he is.
I love him. Oh,
On my ride home from work the other day, they touched on this on Chicago sports radio, and they were laughing about it. They're like, they just tried to like throw Dan Campbell like a bone at a press conference in the offseason, and he treated it like they just got out of a Monday night game with the Packers. He was like fired up. It's like came full heat at the question. They're like, oh, it's a schedule, it's a layup, it's a softball, and he just went all in full Dan Campbell.
He's very
There's
Jim
no
Harbaugh
off
in
switch
that
on it.
respect, where it's like you might think it's an act, like, and it's bullshit, but it's like, no, he's like that on day 1, and then he's like that on day 4,000.
Well, if you remember
He's
that,
just still
press
there
conference.
doing the same fucking nonsense.
Remember when
His
they
fight-
introduced him, the famous kneecap press
Yeah.
conference? And I, like, even me, diehard Lions, was like, what the fuck did we get this guy? And then, fast forward to Hard Knocks, he's doing the up-down burpees with them. And he's like, you're going to do 50, I'll do 50. And, like, by the end of that 50th one, I'm just sitting there. I was like, I will run through a fucking wall for you, Dan. Whatever you need.
Yeah, his wife wakes up to that every morning. You got to wonder what she's like.
Oh my god, poor
Gotta
bastard.
be hardcore, right?
Probably the
Like,
most.
ride or die.
Yeah.
You can't be halfway in that marriage.
No, like she absolutely knows what she got into.
Yeah, I don't think he sprung it on her. By the way, honey, he said, now I'm crazy.
Yeah, now I'm a fucking lunatic, so deal with that.
Oh, he's awesome. I love that guy. He's great. I mean, a lot of good coaches in the NFC North, right? I mean, O'Connell seems to work. But,
Coach of the year, yeah. So
2 years and you get fired. That's how the NFL works. You never want that award.
one bad JJ McCarthy away from getting fired.
yeah,
Ooh.
good thing he isn't. JJ's purple Jesus.
Another shit.
It's fine. He's the one. He's fucking Neo.
Yeah.
Jake, seriously, on the last podcast, I had to jump in to save Hans from making it Jesus Christ, the historical figure Jesus Christ comparison, and then siding with JJ.
Yeah, and then I'm gonna
let's just, I'll talk
and I'm
about
gonna do it again. Where did he play high school? Nazareth.
Nazareth.
He is JJ of Nazareth. He's fucking Jesus.
There you go. Another shout out. Another herbal shout out. High school alma mater of Mike Green.
Really?
Yep.
I hope
Mike
he's
Green
doing
got
well.
fired this podcast.
I'll drop another name. Rich Anderson's wife. Nazareth Academy.
Damn.
Yeah, local school. I'm very familiar.
Wow.
Big time
I mean-
alumni list. How's their stadium? We got some good donors?
I don't know. I've never been there. I'm sure it's pretty nice. Yeah, they got donors now.
All right.
But
if
his
I
dad-
can should, Jesus came through.
yeah, Josh, his dad is apparently an all-world softball player. He plays 16-inch softball with some guys I work with on the fire department. So, real, like huge, strong man. So,
Yeah, I mean, like as a firefighter, you know softball. So,
Oh yeah.
You know softball and chili. That's what firefighters know.
Yeah, not a lot of straight fingers in that firehouse. Those fingers are blown up by 60 inches. All the ones. Yep.
All right. I mean, the rest of your draft, like, I mean,
So
whatever.
I like the pass rusher out of Texas. Everybody seems to like him. He's starting to be the guy that's Sorrell, Baron
Baron
Sorrell.
Sorrell, yeah.
Yep.
People are saying like, look out, like he might be the guy, that steps into that role. So, but I don't know.
I mean, who are your pass rushers now?
Gary, right? Gary
Cool.
and Kenny Clark can get some decent pressure up the middle. If not, just eat up a double team while other people go to work. Enigbare had a huge season. At about halfway through, he really clicked. He had like a 3-sack game against, I forget who. But Edgerrin Cooper, man, at linebacker might be a guy to look out for. Kind of filling that Clay Matthews role. He's looking like he's the real deal. The second-year guy out of Texas A&M.
So I mean, your offense has got a big boost, as you mentioned. So how do you feel about the other side of the ball then?
About the defense?
Yeah.
I like them, man. I think they just got to play like middle of the road. Like offense could be good enough to where the defense just has to be, top 15, top 12 for them to be a legit Super Bowl contender. But then I think you could flip it. You could say like if like the defense really pops and they're top 5 unit, then the offense only has to play, top 12. Which is also like very, realistic that they struggle at times. So I think they're in a good spot where like one side of the ball can take care of the other. Like it doesn't have to be the Bengals, where it's the offense every game and the defense has to keep up. I think you're going to see games where the defense just like takes over and the offense maybe struggles and the defense just picks it up and says, I got you, and I think you're going to see games where the defense struggles and then, the offense picks it up and says, I got you. And I think that's what's going to, that's what makes a good team. You're both sides of the ball,
Have you ever thought about coaching youth football, Jake? Because that got me a little fired up, and I do not like your team.
Have I thought about it? I do it because I do it. I'm all in.
You do it?
Oh, good call, Hans.
I actually
I felt it. I felt it.
Another shout out to one of our college friends, Chris Sedor, hit me up. I talk to him every day. We're on a text thread. Me, Mike, Rich, and Chris Sedor, Matt Dixon, shout out.
Dixon's like the sweetest human being on the planet, right?
Yeah, Sedor's like, hey man, like you got an offense that can run with like 9-year-old boys, passing offense. And I was like, man, I got some plays for you. And he's like, yeah, we turned it around. We started putting up points. But yeah, I love it, man. I love scheming that stuff and having fun with it. But yeah, it's all about the kids. But it is fun to, be on the other end of it. Yeah, I grew up playing sports, so when you can turn around. I just coached a baseball game earlier today, another one last night. So I'm always doing that stuff. So
how'd you guys do?
Man of the community.
Baseball team?
Yeah.
19-5 win today, no big deal.
Damn.
Yeah, Jesus Christ.
Traumatize some children.
Yeah, they're good teams.
That's too many runs.
Yeah.
Where's the mercy rule down there in Illinois?
That's about it. Yeah, that's about it. We mercied them in the 4th inning, and I know the coach on the team, so we played one extra inning, and then we outscored them in that inning too. But it's all good. It's all for fun.
Fantastic.
Yeah.
Fantastic.
Check up about it.
So, are there any other draft picks you felt anything like any blood flow for any of those other draft picks?
Oh, well, we kind of touched on it before we started recording. I kind of paid attention to the top 4 or 5. Who was after Sorrell? Remind me. You got that in front of you?
Yeah. It was Colin Oliver Edge out of Oklahoma State.
No opinion. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't. I'm looking through their list and the top 3. I knew quite. Well, actually, I didn't know much about Belton. I knew a lot about Savion and of course Golden.
Well, you shouldn't know anything about Becton or Belton, whatever, because if you're hearing his name, if you're watching that game and you're hearing his name, you're hearing a lineman's name, nothing good happened.
Right, but I watch a lot of fucking film and tape.
Yeah.
And, I didn't know. That doesn't mean they aren't anything. I just didn't know.
Right. But yeah, I don't know. Hopefully he, contributes. That's all you want. Someone who can contribute. I feel like they kind of missed on an old lineman in the 1st round last year. They took that guy out of Arizona, and I just, you barely saw him on the field. So I don't know what it was. But, might be filling in for that, trying to cover up that mistake. Who knows? But I know they're never going to be left short. They're going to have depth upon depth. So
yeah, they always have at least a solid offensive line.
Mm-hmm.
I guess that we're done with the draft then. So that leads me to the schedule's out. All that is in front of us. We can see it. What do you feel about their chances? We touched on last episode. We went into the FPI, ESPN's bullshit nonsense that doesn't mean anything, but they try to make it seem like it does. We ran 10,000 simulations. Fuck off.
Yeah, I don't know.
But what I would rather hear what you have to say of what do you expect from this season as a win total, as a position in the NFC North finishing, and playoff potential?
So I'll get into this as a sports fan as a whole. I'll make it short, but I'm a fan of.
Drag it out. I don't.
No need. Go.
I'm a fan of the White Sox. I'm a fan of the Bulls. I'm a fan of the Blackhawks. I'm a fan of the Packers. All right. Among those teams, the only one I ever just sit back and kind of blindly trust until they prove me wrong is the Packers. All those other 3 have to prove me right because their track record is ass. It's butt cheeks. So I'll give my prediction on the Packers, but it's always going to be optimistic because I trust that they're always going to do the right thing. They're just a successful franchise. So I'll say, barring catastrophic injury, I think they're
well, yeah. I throw it out the window because
right, yeah,
you can't predict it. That's
right.
Not It's unpredictable.
Rule out season injuries to the top like 5 players on the team. And I think like your low point you're looking at is probably like 9-8. Like that would be a disappointing season coming off of 2 straight, playoff seasons and expecting growth out of your quarterback. 9-8 would be borderline disaster. It would be a huge step back. I think like the peak performance. I mean, I think you're looking at 13-14, 14-3. If they get lucky, the ball bounces their way, and they're a Super Bowl contender. I mean, that's the standard. That's the expectation every year in Green Bay is that you're in the playoffs and contending for a Super Bowl. So, I mean, that for me is what it is.
So you think they could win that division?
I think they can. Yeah. I don't know if they will, just because that division is so good. Well, I mean, like, both you guys know your team can win that division, but like if they did,
they have twice in a row.
You son of a bitch. Fucking hate you.
You guys hang banners, don't you?
Don't start with me one Aaron Rodgers Super Bowl.
I was gonna. Josh is talking about, Hans is talking about how we ran out of things to talk about in the offseason. I'm like, that just speaks to a lack of history. Last season's over. This year didn't start yet, so there's nothing to talk about. I mean, go on.
I remember someone talking about Bart Starr 20 minutes ago.
He is a legend in the history of the 13-time world champion Green Bay Packers. There's no shortage of talking points. But no, that's expectation, and like if they don't win it, if either one of the you guys win it, if the Vikings win it, if the Lions win it, I won't be shocked. If the Bears win it, I'll be shocked. But
yeah, the Bears. Let's pile on the Bears, please.
Yeah, Packers, Vikings, Lions. If any one of them win it, I'm not shocked. I'm more shocked if like one of those teams just lays a complete egg this year. But
that's where I am as well.
Yeah, I think the Vikings got the best chance just got the quarterback turnover. But whatever, we'll see. He's G.
I mean, the Vikings have arguably the best roster outside of an unproven quarterback.
Yeah, is quarterback a big deal in this league?
I guess, but like I get the general perception of like, oh, it's a guy who we haven't seen do it. But again,
who's got unbelievable defense is the Cleveland Browns. You know why we write them off?
Because of the Browns.
Because it's the quarterback.
Because like the 4 number ones in the Packers wide receiver room, they have 4 number 1 quarterbacks right now.
Yeah. Unfortunately, you can only play one at a time.
That's what they tell you.
That's what they tell you. The Browns are brown. I'm actually, we're talking about the schedule. I think I'm heading to Cleveland for the game. So
are you going?
Yeah, I try to hit up a road game every couple of years with one of my buddies who's also from Illinois, also a Packer fan. I said, we're living in the shadows. But yeah, we're gonna head up. I think hit up Cleveland, Green Bay in Cleveland, and one of the guys I coach baseball with, we were just talking about. He's a big Cleveland guy, so I mean it's hilarious. We're gonna drag him out there and just have a time with him.
I can't think of a worse fan base to be a part of than Cleveland.
They're lucky they have Ohio State.
Oh man! Oh right, like yeah, they can claim that. Like even though none of them went, that the loudest people didn't go there.
100%.
So, I mean, Michigan has a lot of that too. It's like you get the Walmart Wolverines. It's a fantastic website. Check that out.
I will not, but moving on, what's your next question?
Yeah. It won't be foreign to me for much longer. I know that right now.
So yeah, you're going to Cleveland to check out a game. You going to any others? How many games have you seen in person in Green Bay?
Oh, geez. I don't know. I mean, obviously I don't live there, so not as many as some, but
right. I would assume it's not very much.
At least a dozen, probably a dozen now.
Oh wow,
okay,
that's way more than I expected.
Try to get there once a year. I was there last year.
I wasn't trying to like call you out as like
no,
you fucking fraud.
No, I didn't go as a kid. We didn't go to NFL games as a kid. That just wasn't it. So I think I went to my first one when I was in college. But I've gone almost every year since. I took my son to his first last year. We plan to make it a tradition. So
at least gone to the draft, man.
Yeah, we talked about it. He had a travel baseball tournament, man. Travel baseball.
I remember all that AAU shit.
Yeah, but at least once a year, and I'm on the season ticket waiting list. I've been on it for 21 years. I've been on it.
Yeah.
So still waiting.
Is there any like? Do they tell you like there's like an
Yeah, your
expected
number in
amount
line.
of waiting time, or
They
like,
do. They send you a postcard with your number on it. Yeah.
Where are you?
yeah,
8,000.
8,000,
68,000.
68. You
God
need a lot
damn.
of that. That's like the entire population of the stadium, right?
You need another COVID. You'll never.
Yeah, kill these old motherfuckers.
Unleash it, man.
Stop fighting all those fires, Jake. Man, you're screwing yourself.
Yeah, I'm not going to live to see that. But I can hand my spot off in line to my kids, like with no penalties. So
I'm doing this for you, son.
fighting the good fight. I've been fighting the good fight since I was a kid. So all for them.
Yeah, I can't imagine growing up in Chicago and being a Packer fan, because that's like, I mean, that's like the evil empire.
Oh,
dude.
Bloods and the Crips, bro.
Because I mean, Chicago doesn't like the Vikings either, but it's just like
It hits.
they'll find a way to screw it up. It's fine.
Yeah. No, it is. It's, you had to be either really nice, really good looking, or really tough. And I probably got a little bit of all three of those.
Oh yeah, you did hit
And
all
the
three of those.
humility.
I hate that you hit all three of those. That makes me angry. But it's
Totally.
just like how I'm saying your coach is good. I have to admit what I have to admit.
Yeah. Joe says you got to have humility too. That's the Chicago in me. See, Green Bay people won't talk like that.
They're like the welcome to Wrexham crowd, who's just like all of a sudden it's like, oh, well, everyone loves us. Okay,
Yeah.
all right, we're this tiny little place.
Yeah, you get all the success of a Packer fan with the brash in your face personality of a Chicago. Everybody loves it.
Yeah, it's a miracle
It's a
that
combination.
it's a miracle we're friends, because all
Right.
of that should piss me off.
Oh, good stuff. What next?
I mean, I don't know. What kind of, is there any news out of your Packer like cabal? I still don't understand who runs the organization. Like for my team, we have this billionaire motherfucker, and then we have a GM and everything.
Yeah.
Like our GM just got extended. Which
Well,
is
we got
cool.
a GM, but yeah, the team president is Mark Murphy or Mike Murphy, whatever his name is. He runs the show. He's
That
like,
sounds made up.
yeah. I think he played for the Packers, to tell you the truth. And then Gutenkunst is the always much maligned GM because like you said, there's not a lot to talk about.
What was his name?
Brian Gutenkunst.
That sounds like a Star Wars character. Like
Nice.
nonsense.
Nice German last name.
Is he real? Like I honestly, I have this theory that there is no actual hierarchy. It's just like some entity like controlling it all, because
Yeah.
they're not in the limelight. You don't hear about them. Like every other franchise, you hear about the owner, the GM. They're at the top of the list.
Hans, we nailed this. The Packers are by the people, for the people.
You get to sit down and talk with a team owner anytime you want. You can't throw a rock without hitting a team owner and like getting.
What an incredible scam! Like to get fans to spend, I don't know, $200-300 to get this little fucking thing I could print off on Photoshop.
Yeah.
There has to be a market.
It's
for
brilliant.
fraudulent
No, it's
green
genius.
certificates.
Like I can't hate on it because it's fucking brilliant.
But
Way to bring in money, because like all of us fans are just pigs at the fucking trough eating the slop.
Yeah.
Like
Well, the moment
you're
we
like,
sign
hey,
up,
you could be an
going-
owner.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah.
The moment
here's
we
my
sign
money.
up, I'm going
Take
to the
my
printer
money.
and I'm going to print out 100 shares and I'm going to sell those bad boys online.
Yeah, you just diluted.
Yeah, and they're meaningless. Like, of course.
I've seen the Social Network. I know how to do it.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right. Does either of you have anything else to say about the Packers? Because that's what we're doing this episode. It's all about the team in Wisconsin.
Yeah. No, they're going to be there. I mean, where it goes.
So end of day. What's your lockdown position? Your prediction for what happens next year with the Packers? Like division winners, how many wins, playoff.
Ooh.
Do
All
they
right.
win the Super? Like,
Final-
where are you at? Like as a fan, I don't care about logic, reason. I'm asking as a fan.
Final prediction: 12-5. Second in the NFC North. I don't know who'll finish first. I'll say they'll be second. And they They make it to the Super Bowl. They make it to the
You lost me. All right.
on the approach. I think some days you'll see that offense just cook. On some days you'll see defense shut them down. I think they're due. It's been too long in Green Bay without a Super Bowl appearance, Super Bowl championship. They're just due. So you want the technical insight on that? Fuck that.
That's why I said it from a fan perspective. I don't want reason and logic.
Yeah.
I want what your fucking balls are saying.
Favre won one early and didn't win again. Rodgers won one early, didn't win again. Go say it. Jordan wins one now, and then maybe he can get another one. Maybe he can be that first guy to get a second. Since Bart Starr.
That's what we call a callback, baby.
Yeah, I had other questions, but that's how we gotta end it. That's fucking fantastic. That put a button on everything. Well,
yeah.
Well done. Thank you, Jake, for joining us as our official Packers correspondent.
It was fun, man. It was fun.
I hope you had a good time.
Really
Joe, do you
good
got
time.
anything else?
Everything was real Gouda. Now we come with the cheese puns, right?
Well, I started off with the cheese, but
It was a Gouda episode.
You got anything else, Joe?
No, sir. That was fun, and I feel like I learned a little something about Green Bay.
Oh, I'm sorry for you.
Visit.
I didn't learn shit.
I wouldn't say go anytime, after January or before September, but that September to January range, prime Green Bay tourism time. So don't waste.
I will only attend Lambeau Field with you in tow.
How about we do it?
I'm in.
Bring
All
me
right.
that security bubble. I'll go.
All right.
Should all do it. I love it.
I'm not saying this year, but we'll start getting the wheels turning on that.
Yeah, I can't do this year. That's too much.
Wait.
All right, well, this was fun. I don't really have an intro, so fuck it.